Hello everybody, and people around the world. Welcome back to Going Umbral. So, you may notice we're not in the orbiter. We are actually here in the simulacrum, because today's episode we are looking at Mirage Prime, aka Harlequin. So, why am I in the simulacrum? That's because I want to show you just what today's episode is going to entail. This is Mirage. This is one of my favorite guns, the Opticore. And these are three level 120E corrupted heavy gunners. Let's see if we can play a magic trick. Smile, buddy. One shot. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of one shots in this episode. So, without further ado, let's get into the basic episode. Return to the orbiter. So, welcome back everybody to another episode. Honestly, I weren't actually going to do Mirage. I was actually going to wait for Hildren to release and do her. However, I figured, you know what? I never actually played Mirage. Let's give her a go. Let's swap out the weapon, now that showcase is done. What was I using? I was using the Super Vandal. Anyway. Welcome back to Going Umbral. So today we are looking at Miss Harlequin, the trickster, Miss Illusionist, and as you can see, a very potent magician. We are looking at Mirage Prime, Umbrified. So getting into the mods, usually I'd get into the powers, but thanks to a recent change update we got, we can now look at the powers in the upgrade screen. Which honestly, I don't mind it. Many people have said they don't like it, but honestly, it's quite handy. So, our first power, Hall of Mirrors. Mirage creates an entourage of doppelgangers to confuse and distract targets. So, essentially what that means, Mirage will create 4 clones of herself. These clones will shoot whatever weapon you have, dealing a damage of 40% of your base damage. On top of that, these doppelgangers will actually draw fire away from Mirage. So it does help her survivability a little bit. However, when I've been playing Mirage, I found that the enemies have been shooting me more than my clones. So I'm not sure if it's working as intended or whether I'm just doing something wrong. More or less, I'm probably just doing something wrong. So as you can see, with our current build, we have a drain of 17.5, very cheap,
Operator,
considering how much damage the clones do,
Me too.
especially with the weapon that I paired Mirage up with. It is very potent. We have a duration of nearly 50 seconds, so almost a full minute. And of course, the clones do 40% of Mirage's weapon damage. Her second power, Sleight of Hand. We be trapped nearby objects while conjuring an irresistible jewel that bursts with a radial blind when touched. In darkness, or when touched in darkness. No. Sorry, can't read today. Or a radial explosion in light. Conjure multiple smaller jewels with the help of Hall of Mirrors. So as you can see, there's a bit of synergy going on. While in Hall of Mirrors, if you use Sleight of Hand, depending on whether you're in the light or in the dark, you will either, in the darkness, you'll create essentially a little jewel that will explode, and other little jewels that will explode, depending if you're in dark, or if you're in the light, you can use this as a sort of crowd control, and create little radial explosions that will blind your target. So with the build we have a drain of 35, still fairly cheap. Even with the bare bones efficiency, Mirage very rarely ran into energy issues. A radius of 20.8 meters. Now we are running negative range, however, I still found I was able to get decent use out of this power. Both this power and her fourth power, I was still able to get very decent use out of it. Duration of 35 seconds, a very lengthy amount of time, always good. Explosion damage of 400 blast. Do note that it's only if you use Sleight of Hand in the darkness. An explosion radius of 4.16 meters, so not a very large explosion radius. Her third power, Eclipse. Standing in the light, Standing in the light, Mirage deals heavy damage, while in the shadows, Mirage is more difficult to track and even harder to hit. So, much like Sleight of Hand, depending whether you're in the light or in the dark, this power will gain one of two effects. If you're in the light, as you saw in the simulacrum, we get a huge damage boost. Look at that, 400% damage boost. That is nuts. Absolutely nuts. And with a drain of 17.5, we can keep this power up pretty much indefinitely. And a duration of 50 seconds just makes it superb. Now, if Mirage is standing in the darkness, she will actually gain a 95% damage reduction, making her extremely tanky. Especially due to the fact that we've paired her up with adaptation. It just makes Mirage's survivability just shoot through the roof. Her fourth and final power, we have Prism. Shoot an energy prism that shoots lasers in all directions. Activating again, detonates the prism, blinding nearby foes. So pretty much like Sleight of Hand's light effect. By using this, you essentially shoot out a disco ball. That's the only way I can really describe it. And it will bounce around and bounce around. Whenever it hits a surface, it will bounce. It will continuously drain energy for the duration of the power until you run out of energy. So the way I use this is I'll throw it into a group and then detonate it straight away, just to blind all those targets so I can mow them down. With a drain of 35, again, very cheap on the power drain. Most ultimate abilities are usually about 50-60 energy, even with Streamline. So Mirage is very energy efficient. A drain of 3.5 excuse me, 3.5 can't speak today. 3.5 energy a second. Again, it's very energy consuming. That's why ideally you want to throw it into a group and then detonate it straight away, just to blind them. We have 20 lasers, which I'm pretty sure is the base cap. I don't think you can increase that. I could be wrong. If I am, please let me know. A radius of 15.6. I'm pretty sure that is the range for the lasers to actually hit. So if it's flying above all the enemies, it's not going to hit them. A duration of 23.6 seconds. Very lengthy. But we have a blind duration of 29 seconds. Almost 30 seconds. Trust me, that is more than enough time for Mirage just to mow down any target. And we have 500 radiation and a range of 13 meters. Now, onto the build. Excuse me. Now, I did actually mess up on this build. As you can see, we have a double dash here. That double dash is actually supposed to be in the Excellus slot for power drift. This mod is actually supposed to be either Hunter's Adrenaline or Rage. So that's a kind of flaw on my part. if you do use this build, put the double dash in the Exodus and swap this out for Rage or Hunter's Adrenaline, whatever your personal preference. So for the aura, we are using corrosive projection just for that bit of negative armor on armored targets. Help us mow down those Grineer and corrupted targets a bit faster. We are running adaptation. Why are we running adaptation? As I mentioned before, when I was using Mirage's first ability, I forget what it's called, Hall of Mirrors, I found that the targets weren't attacking my doppelgangers. More, they were focusing on me. And that led to some very nasty situations where I would get one shot in high level content. Excuse me? Where I get one shot in high level content. So I thought, right, I need to bolster up Mirage in a way. Originally I was running what was it called? Armored Agility, that's it. However, the extra armor I got from Armored Agility, if I just switch that over quickly, not really a big boost, nor the sprint speed got much of a boost either. So for adaptation, essentially what adaptation does, if you don't know, is if you're hit by a particular type of damage, let's say for example slash, if you're hit by slash damage, you'll gradually, the more and more you're hit by that particular damage type, you're going to build up a resistance to it, capping out at 90%. Well, 90% because of my mod. Unfortunately, I'm broke on endo, so I can't really max these up. But you can pretty much gain a very hefty resistance to a damage type. And I found this to save me a lot. Especially when I was being targeted by big groups, loads of different damage types coming at me. Just building up that resistance to it allowed me just to stand in that group and mow them all down. We are running Streamline. Now, as I said before, Mirage's powers are pretty much dirt cheap to use. You haven't got to use Streamline. You can use Flow, you can use Prime Flow if you want, if you have it. And you'll do fine. Trust me. For the Exodus, we are using Power Drift for the extra power strength and the chance to resist knockdown. Even with adaptation, being knocked down, it's not nice. That's essentially a target's way of getting free damage on you, and I don't like that. So having a chance to resist that knockdown helps immensely. We are using Narrow-Minded for the extra ability duration and ability range, negative ability range. I found with Mirage I didn't need that much power range, but I found leaving it free from the top, not only because I'm broke on endo, but it made a nice balance. So I could still use Sleight of Hand, I could still use Prism, and they could still affect mass groups if used properly. We are using Transience Fortitude for your bit extra ability strength. I don't know what's wrong with me today, man, I can't speak. And the negative ability duration. Honestly, with Prime Continuity and Narrow-Minded, that negative 20% ability duration is very minuscule. Like, you hardly notice it. Of course, I did mess this up. The double dash is supposed to go here, but seeing I put it here, I figured, hey, let's go for Hall of Malevolence Augment, just to increase the damage of the doppelgangers by 5% every time we kill a target. So, just to put that in perspective, we have a 400% damage bonus from Eclipse. We have a 40% damage from each of our doppelgangers by base, and if I kill 10 targets, that's going to be an extra 50% damage for the doppelgangers. That is a 490% damage bonus with doppelgangers. It's going to be absolutely insane in the membrane. So we are running an Umbral build, so of course we need Umbral Intensify and Umbral Vitality. Not only for the tower resistance to help us with the sentience, but we get 45% ability strength from this, 450% health from this, letting us sit at that very comfortable 600 health. And trust me, that 600 health will last you. As long as you're not blindly standing in groups, because let's face it, adaptation can only do so much. You'll be fine. Prime continuity for the extra power duration, letting us sit at nearly 200% power duration. And as you can see, we have pretty much a 50-second buff on both Eclipse and Doppelgangers, and if need be, Sleight of Hand. Now, the weapon I've paired Mirage up with is the Super Vandal.
Excellent.
If you watched Biggs' Arsenal,
please return.
you'll know the Super Vandal.
Safe and sound.
Now the build has actually changed on this. Originally I was using a Hunter's Munition build because I didn't know any better. But now I've changed it up for more of a balanced approach. So we have Serration for the extra damage, Point Strike for critical chance, Split Chamber for multi-shot, Entropy Burst, which is a Cephalon Pseudo augment for the Supra, for that base 20% status chance, plus the entropy effect. For those who don't know what entropy effect does, essentially once this weapon gets, I believe it's 1000 affinity, it will release an AoE magnetic proc that is guaranteed, and not only that, you restore, I believe, 25% of your energy. The Super Vandal and Mirage are a match made in heaven. Now if you haven't tried it, I suggest you try it. Essentially, Mirage will have infinite energy, providing energy drain Eximuses don't start coming on the scene. Malignant Force and High Voltage for corrosive, just to help deal with those armor targets. Hammer Shot for the status chance and the critical damage. It's a very handy mod to have, especially on the Super Vandal. And of course we have Shred, 30% fire rate and 1.2 punch through. Now, not many people know this about the Super Vandal, but the Super Vandal actually has a spooling up effect, in which it will fire slower and gradually get faster. The Shred essentially allows you to bypass the spooling up effect by allowing the Super Vandal to get to the max fire rate straight away. And as you can see by the stats here, we are sitting at 40% crit chance, 3.2 times multiplier, and 99.9% status chance, with the majority of those status procs coming in puncture and corrosive. We have the Furious here, just for a little bit of survivability. I need to put on Snagglepuss, just for a little bit of survivability. I do have a rhythm for the Furious. It could be better, but when I was testing out Mirage in the Simulacrum the other day, I was actually able to take out a level 120 heavy gunner in a single clip with the Furious. That's quite impressive for the Furious. Anyway, enough waffling on. Let's have a little look at Snagglepuss. Give him some of these. Now, as per usual, we're going to jump into Sanctuary Onslaught. Make sure I'm on solo. Yeah, we're going to jump into Sanctuary Onslaught and see just how Mirage can perform. Spoilers, she's going to wreck the place. Yeah, but in all seriousness, with this setup, Mirage becomes a very potent killing machine. Especially with the Super Vandal, I have mowed down groups of level 70s in a blink of an eye. And notice, not all my mods are maxed. Of course, you're going to require a lot more former. You're going to require a lot more former if your mods are maxed. Mine aren't maxed, so unfortunately I can get away with cheaper former cost. Keep that in mind. If your mods are maxed out, you're going to require more former. But as you can see, these are only level 23, so I can't really say much about this. But when we get to the higher level rounds, you will see she will actually melt through those targets. Now the Super Vandal, it's just a suggestion. When I do these Umbral builds, I pair Warframes up with weapons. Those are just suggestions. You can use whatever weapons you want. Those are just the weapons that I think synergize very well with that chosen Warframe. If you want to use your Somas or your Anthraxes or your Quantas, by all means, go for it. Come on, bring the next portal. These are not worthy of my bullets. Where is everybody? There you are. As you see, with the energy orb dropped, as well as the Syndicate proc from the Super Vandal, Mirage is not running into any kind of energy issues whatsoever. Where is everybody? There you are, you're hiding from me. As you see in the top right, we have got a 90% reduction to puncture damage. Take a bow, Mirage. I know I showed these builds off in the normal Sanctuary Onslaught, but just know you can bring these into Elite Sanctuary Onslaught and still do well. You may require a bit more finesse, like you may have to move around a bit more. However, they will still perform quite admirably. Top up my buff. Originally I was going to throw caution to the wind and just use the optical, just because I love that gun, man. Who doesn't love the giant photon cannon? That being said, as of... No, Snagglepuss, where are you? I'm coming to save you, buddy. Yeah, as of 2 or 3 days ago, I forget when Hildren released pretty much, we got an alert, we got an event on the Phallus, or Valis, that lets you get the Optical Vandal. Now, I actually spoiled it for myself and saw a couple of videos, and I'm really on the fence about getting it. Really on the fence. At one point it's got a faster fire rate, and as far as I know, the supplemental stats like this critical and the status have not gone up. I could be wrong about that. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Jump, Mirage. Jump. No, jump. How'd it go? Yeah, I'm not sure if the supplemental stats actually went up, but I know that the optical Vandal has 60% less damage than the normal optical. And honestly,
enter the conduit now.
I think that's one of the main points I'm kind of hesitant to get. When you think optical, you think a massive gun. And as a massive gun, you should be able to rip things apart. And I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I mean, the faster fire rate does mean that you can actually build it for status now, such as corrosive and that. But I don't know. It's one of those things that, especially as well. I've been trying to do the event for a couple of days now. And every time I join a group, people leave. And it's just like, why are you leaving? Like, we're all here to do this event. And I don't know, man. More or less, I probably will pick it up. I don't know. It's probably something I have to look into a bit more. As it's something I pick up just for the bargain match. Snagglepuss, man, you're going down quite a lot. What's going on? Right, let's swap to Furious. Get some help back. Let's get Snagglepuss up. Come on, buddy. I need you. Okay, I need you. So as you can see there, knockdowns are the only thing that can really stop Mirage. For mowing stuff down. But she is mowing these targets down. No, these are level 4s. They're not the highest enemies you find on the star chart. However, they are quite up there. But I'm pretty sure the Rathum on Sedna? Yeah, I think it's Sedna. The Rathum on Sedna is the highest level nodes on the star chart, sitting at 60s and 80s, and I'm pretty sure 100. I've yet to actually bring Mirage into that, but during my testing where I can mow down level 80s, I should imagine she can do well. Snagglepuss, I need you to stay up, buddy. Come on. Die, grenade. Also, next Umbral build we do will probably be... I'm kind of curious whether to do Zephyr or... Oh, what was the other candidate? What was it? It was either Zephyr or... I think I thought Nyx. I don't know. My brain, she's not with it today. More or less, it'll probably be Zephyr.
To this experiment's design. Work faster.
Oh, shut up, Samaris. Let's throw the disco ball. Disco fever. You sit down. Where's everybody? No, don't you dare run out of efficiency.
Move and strike. We have to win this.
Come on, reload. There we go. There we go. Zone 4.
Specimens must experience unmatched stress. Increase your effort.
So as you see, we ran low on efficiency, but we didn't run out.
Is open. Our experiment moves to a new zone.
As you can see, Mirage mowed down every thing that stood in her way.
The conduit is closing fast.
Now, I tested around with all my weapons in the simulacrum the other night. And I have to tell you, I went up against the same 3 level 120s. And pretty much every weapon in my arsenal, not all of them, but almost all of them, absolutely wrecked the level 120s. Even my Furious, I was able to take down a level 120 and half kill the other in a clip. I'll tell you what, it felt so good. There is a reason people use Mirage, and I can see that now. She can make any weapon absolutely obliterate targets. Do I regret using the form on her? Absolutely not. In fact, I think it was a very, very solid investment. 400% extra damage, plus 50 from Hall of Malevolence, and 40 from her Hall of Mirrors. Just equals absolute goodness. But
Operator, you have remembered well.
Regardless, I'm gonna stop waffling. I'm gonna stop waffling on. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Hopefully with Zephyr. Bye bye now.